All right, let's go and take some phone calls. Wild Card Line, you're on the air with Congressman Ron Paul. Hi there.
Hello.
And where are you calling from?
Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
All right, take it away.
My name is Kaylin. And Congressman, I'm just so glad to hear that you're still in the running. My yard signs are still there. My bumper stickers are still there. And I'm still passing out your Jimmy cards.
Wonderful.
So I'm thrilled. But I got to ask you, is anyone in Congress paying attention as to our public lands that are being sold to private enterprises, like our roads and our highways that are being sold off? Is anybody screaming about that? And the other thing is our real estate. You know, we're the only country in the world that allows 100% foreign ownership in real estate. And now with what's going on as far as the economy and this whole housing crisis that we have in this country, these homes and, our homes are being bought up by foreign interests. And, there's the euro is so strong. We have Europeans coming here, buying up real estate, and we won't have any. I mean, it's going out the back door. Is there any talk at all in Congress about changing the law like other countries of the world?
The idea of them buying up the highways and things like that, there is a lot of talk about that, and there we've made some progress. When they talk about the NAFTA highway and things, there's a large number of us who have talked about it and have at least had token votes, symbolic votes, opposed to it. And there's a great deal of talk about restraining this right of eminent domain. So many local communities and governments come in and take it, and they take it from a small owner and give it to somebody else where the government thinks it would be better off. Now, dealing with the problem of dollars coming back here at home, that is more complicated and more difficult. The real problem there is that we were privileged as a country to print the reserve currency of the world. So we weren't encouraged to work anymore or save. We were allowed to print money, and because the dollar was assumed to be as good as gold, everybody took it. So all those dollars go overseas. And in many ways, you want people to spend money here because that keeps our businesses going. And it's not so easy to say, well, you can buy a car, but you can't buy a condo. And but the problem you're talking about is very, very serious, but it is a symptom of the monetary system as much as anything else. But there has been talk, and we've had some votes when it comes to vital industries. You know, when they come in and own our ports, I think we had a major vote on that to try to make sure that, a foreign government didn't take over our ports. So on some occasions, for national security reasons, yes, I think we have a responsibility, but you don't want to say it's only because they're spending dollars back here, because in many ways that would help us if they would spend more dollars. Our problem is we printed so many, we sent so many overseas, and we had like a free ride for a long time. Now, when these dollars come floating back, what it's doing is giving us the inflation. When the money comes here, it just pushes up prices. It doesn't increase our productivity. We've undermined our system. Our good jobs are overseas now. So we've messed it up, and that's why so many of these problems can go back to the monetary system and the Federal Reserve that has really messed us up.
You know what I'd like to see, Congressman, is perhaps the 9/11 Commission reopened again, a new investigation with some of these professors and scientists who have brought some pretty fascinating information forward, which really was never looked at during the original investigation.
And I can agree with that, and that's my position. I think it should be reopened. I think that it didn't solve any problems, yet I don't claim I know the answers, and I don't say our government did it. And I know some of my supporters would say that. Oh, yeah, I know our United States government actually did this as part of a conspiracy. And I don't personally believe that, and I don't say it, but I still am not satisfied with the investigation. There's a rare government investigations I am satisfied with, because usually what they do is they're just covering up their ineptness and all other kind of problems. I mean, look at the assassination of Kennedy. I mean, I think 80-some% of the American people don't believe that Oswald did that all by himself. So nobody has trusted those kind of investigations. But our big problem there, unless you can really trust your government. So we get Hillary in or McCain in, and they say, oh, okay, the people want to have another investigation. Are you going to be happy with the next investigation? If you don't have absolute confidence in the person, in the individuals in your government, to just have another investigation, will be to cover up the other investigation,
Well, that's true. And what has happened here, and we can sense it, we can feel it, you feel it. That's part of your campaign, your platform. People have lost trust in government in all areas, in their ability to turn the economy around, in the war in Iraq, in what is true and what isn't. I don't think, honestly, this vice president gives a hoot about middle America. We got problems there, Congressman.
Yeah, and I think you make the perfect point that people have lost confidence in the government because government's not working very well. And one analogy I use is how inept the government was in dealing with Katrina in New Orleans, and all the money we spent and all the trailers we bought and just passed out checks, and it still hasn't solved the problems down there. Central economic planning is just lousy, but that sort of came about with the mess we have in Iraq and our economy going down, and then the ineptness on trying to solve these problems. This is why government that is decentralized is so much better than centralized government. They get the money, they get the control, and the special interests take over. And that's where we are today, where the people lose out. They confiscate through taxation, and they confiscate by just stealing the value of our dollar.
What would you do with the IRS, Congressman?
Get rid of it quickly.
What form of monetary tax raising would you have, if any?
Well, I'm not anxious to replace it at all. I want to cut spending enough where you don't need it. People say, "Oh, that's impossible. How can you do that?" Well, if we didn't have the income tax, we'd have as much revenues coming in as we did 10 years ago. So that's still a lot of money. And we didn't have an income tax up until 1913. They didn't get a significant amount until World War II. So we've lived a long time without the income tax, and
some believe we don't even have the income tax law, that it's not really on the books.
Yeah, and there's a pretty good case for that, but they have more guns than we have, so for us to prove it, it's difficult, and if you really want to test them in court, too often they come with their guns and they put us away in jail. That's our big problem. But the biggest problem isn't the income tax is secondary to the spending. It's the fact that we as a people have accepted the idea that we're the policemen of the world, and we have to be have 700 bases in 130 countries around the world, and we have a welfare system here that we can't afford. So what do? We tax, and we have the income tax, and it still isn't enough. Then we go to borrowing and printing. But the tax, the high taxation that we suffer from, is a reflection of the fact that the American people have allowed their representatives in Washington to continue to spend. And most of them say, well, that's right, we want less spending, but don't cut mine. Yeah, everybody has their program. And just think how many more people right now want to expand government control of medical care, and there's no cutting back on education. My only compromise on some of that type of expenditure is I am quite willing to support any program at home if we can get the money not by taxes, but by cutting all this war spending. We spend $1 trillion a year maintaining our world empire. Cheers. So there's a lot of money there, and we could cut a lot of money and cut the deficit and still take care of some of these programs here that I don't particularly like. But I'm not going to start there. I'm not going to start on taking medical care away from the elderly. That we don't have to do that.
Congressman Ron Paul, his website, ronpaul.com. Congressman, good luck in your campaign, and it's refreshing, and I hope you can make some change in our policy. Appreciate you being on the program.
Live from the City of Angels, this is Coast to Coast A.M. with George Norrie.